Crazy Train. You guys remember this song from back in the day? That's what some people think this market is, on a crazy train. It's been on a crazy train, on the way up. Anyway, to me, it's been pretty systematic. To me, a lot of my rules, a lot of the things that I follow are just moving along right away. And I hope everyone's having a good time. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, which I don't think we are. Every time it seems like, maybe we get a pullback, maybe we have to reduce risk. Active bears prove not to have any power. So we'll just keep trying to look for setups instead of look for tops, right? Look for setups instead of look for tops. And there's been a bunch of them. Anyway, my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. I'm a founder of T3, and I'm the sole founder of Red Dog Mindset. Anyway, here we are on 8/14. It's PPI day. The CPI day felt like a little bit of a head scratcher, right? Where some people thought it was a little hotter, but the market took it as cooler, and the IWM ignited, the bios ignited. Some tech got a little wishy-washy. The SPYs made a new high, and here we are ahead of the PPI, which either is going to confirm the CPI or it's going to, just give a little bit of misdirection. I had this little eerie feeling where I got to get out of today alive. I still have a little too many things on. I'm actually going on vacation, guys. On Sunday, I'm going to Montauk with the wife. Why do I always have to say the wife like that? To Montauk to go to Gurney's from Sunday through Thursday. So I've already told the Alpha team that expect no note, no 25 charts or 40 charts. Same thing with Redler All Access. So there's no 20 to 520. There's no 630 club. So there's no Red Dog next week. None. You guys are on your own. You've been trained to be on your own. You have your own routine, your own process. You don't need me. But I will probably check in. I'm not going out of the country. I'm not 6 hours ahead or behind. I'm just going out east to Montauk. And if I got to spend some time with the wife, I don't want to be looking at the phone. I'm probably going to take a few things that I don't want to miss. People are always like, Red Dog, when you go on vacation, do you flatten everything out, or what do you do? I'm like, typically, doing too much on vacation is never good. You're never going to make enough because you don't have 6 screens. And if you lose, you get upset. So, but there are some things that I feel like could continue that I want, that I'm involved with swing trades that I might want to put on with, probably more with options. So I know what I'm risking just in case. Anyway, with that being said, what's up, Surya? What's up, Sams? What up, Dave? What up, Sir Freedom? No sound. You guys have no sound? There's sound. Come on. What's Nelvis saying? VIX near lows at 1464. Trump meeting Putin tomorrow. Everyone chilling in the market. What could go wrong? We get a hot number at 8:30. That would shake it up. That's true. I hear you. I have that weird feeling too, where I'm like, you know what? I've made money for 8 days in a row. Like, it's been a really good 8 days. I hope you guys have had a great, run. I've had a great run starting last Wednesday. A lot of my stocks ignited, really well. First of all, let's go to the SPYs real quick. You have a little bit of a doji here. You're a little extended from the 8 day. We're a tiny bit overbought now, so you don't want to get ahead of yourself. Are we going to hold yesterday's low and digest here? Could happen. SPYs right now they're only down 14 cents, but a lot could change, after the PPI number. You have the Qs, another new high, just moving along, trending along. If you think about this, what a beautiful, beautiful move. Beautiful. Anyway, it started right here. You had your big low, your higher low. It was kind of a W/big V. It's been trending along. Every time it looked like it was going to break the 21 day, it did. Even here, remember here, kind of reduced a lot of risk. And then we bought the UVXY even for power plays and made some money, got only rid of half, lost on the other half. And then right here, the bears proved nothing. They filled the gap. If they were going to continue to the downside, right, they would have rejected price either right here, or even right here, like halfway. And instead, we just powered through. So if you've been rolling up shorts, you're pissed. If if you're opinionated, you're not doing the right thing. But anyway, so here we are at a high. Well, yes, it wasn't the biggest deal. Yes, you could have trimmed into some strength for the rotation. Now the question is, how's tech going to be? Is it going to continue? Is it not? Is it going to come in and test the 8-day? So you just want to don't be over your skis. IWM, I isolated this for everyone. Is tight. Look how tight this was prior to the CPI. Tight. Traders like tight patterns, and now you have a nice 2-day move that they've talked about 10 different times on CNBC. I get it. Anyway, kind of got to resistance. What's it going to do now? Is it going to digest here, go sideways and continue, or give you a day 3? If the PPI is light, chances are the IWM is going to, have another big push. Right now, it's only down 40 cents. Not a big deal. Most guys in my community are buying the cajones out of it here and then reducing. Now you can see if it goes sideways. Same thing with the XPI. I finally caught a really good trade in the XPI. Hey, anyway, whatever. I was buying it in here. I reduced a lot. Now we'll see if the XPI could stay, kind of in play here as a rotation trade, tactically. And then yesterday I started buying the XLE. The XLE is not special. The XLE, you can't buy it into the downtrend. It's obviously gets rejected every time. So on support, this was a great trade. And then this one I didn't do. So I'm like, you know what? If the market wants to rotate and everyone's talking about rotation, I might as well get a little bit ahead of it. So I bought a little bit of options. I'm in a little bit of XLE. A little bit. It can't all be Apple and Tesla and Amazon and Google. Like, you have to be able to see where the flows go sometimes. And right now a little bit. At least your risk. Your risk is 84-ish. So where do we make most of our money? I made a lot of money in Apple with everyone in the Alpha team. Thank you. This day woke it up. What a nice sequence for Apple. So that was awesome. I'm smaller. I'm very small now. I'm going to see how it goes. If you want, people like, where should I put my stop? Well, if Apple's any good and wants to stay special, probably shouldn't get back below this 230, 231-ish. It's a little extended from the 8-day. You don't want to be big there. Amazon, I'm still focused on. Amazon, I feel like, obviously it missed. It was a bad time when the earnings were there or whatever. But I caught this move when it got above 216, and now it's very tight in here. So this is something I'm probably going to take when I go on vacation next week, because the premiums are down. It's not a leader where they're selling the leaders off. It's been kind of just a value laggard-ish. It's fine. So if it gets above 226-ish and fills the gap, I feel like I could have the 226s for next week. And if it gets to 230, I'll make a little bit of money. If it doesn't, I didn't miss anything. So I feel like I'm going to have Amazon on for next week while I'm away as an option trade. I will look in Nvidia. Nvidia is a good question. I'll bring it up. Google, little annoying yesterday, but I'll live. I did get smaller in Google. You always get smaller when you build a position in here to take out 198 to get to 202, and it happens. You always get smaller, little loose and wide. So I'm probably going to take a little Google also, just in case the market stays strongish. And this one's to take out 207. I'll figure out a way to have some cheap premium just in case. Maybe have a swing on with the stop. Those two I'll take. Apple I'm not going to take. Tesla I'm probably not going to take. Tesla was a great trade also. Tesla, this was the day that I bought a ton of it. I added through here and I got rid of most. Little red dog reversal sell. If it goes sideways here, I might buy some 350s, but I'm not sure yet. Nvidia is interesting. Who asked me that question? I don't know. It's your bunch of Chinese letters. I don't read that, but maybe someone wants to tell me. So, who's this? Can you take a look at Nvidia? Anyway, I will take a look at Nvidia. Nvidia is a lot of the guys that have been fighting this move in the markets. Like, look at Nvidia, it's lagging. Look at it, it's lagging. It's lagged the last few days, which is not like Nvidia. I like Nvidia when it's leading. So people are like, well, what happens if the market corrects? Is Nvidia gonna get cracked? Well, you have defined areas here, right? This is 178, 179. If you're long it, and when we're to break this spot, this huge trend that we've seen in Nvidia above the 21 day could be in a little jeopardy. So this is something that's going to be interesting. So can it take 184.48 and start a new move? It's not overbought anymore. It's just there's been other things going on, the small caps, the bios, this, that, Ethereum, whatever. So this will give us some clues. Is tech in a digestive mode where it's just not leading and money goes into the rotation, or is tech going to roll over for funds to go to other sectors? I'm not so sure, but the least it's tight. I haven't traded Nvidia in a bunch of days. It hasn't been where the action is. I watched it a little bit. A lot of guys tried pressing it a few times yesterday and it didn't break and lost money. Not me though, thank goodness. Where's Nvidia this morning? Doing nothing, right? So it's good. Sometimes let it rest. Let it rest. It's resting right now. This is a key spot. What's the low here? This is 179.35, 179.46, 170. So really 178, 179 is key upper support. But what's also interesting here though is now even if it were to break that and see the 21 day, the 21 day has been real, hasn't been violated the whole time. So it could break 178, 179 and still be just fine. So anyway, we'll see what that does the next day or two. We'll see what happens today with the PPI. Can you please look at Hood and Reddit? Sure. Reddit, I missed. Reddit's been an unbelievable wow. If you use my pro earnings gap strategy, where just in case you missed, you didn't play for earnings, you could have been long versus this, and what a move. Beautiful. I did not take it. I stared at it. Was staring at it. Didn't do the options play. It happens. I'm being honest. At this point, it's a little extended. I would not be buying Reddit now. Robinhood, I didn't miss. We had a great trade. I sold into strength, and now I'm trying to figure out if I want to, take some options out a month or so, a little bit higher, just in case it gets added into the S&P 500. They shook the tree in Robinhood yesterday. What do I mean? Well, look, this is kind of interesting. It's a different company than Nvidia, obviously, but again, got a little bit testy up here. And then what did it do? If you were playing for a bull flag breakout above 117, you got out of it. If it's going to be any good here, it should really hold this 107-ish. Otherwise it's going to be choppier. I was buying Robinhood in here when it was tight. I was buying the 110s and the 115s. So into that move to 117 last week, I was ringing the register and I had 25% left. I got rid of that. Now into this down move, I'll figure out, do I want to, roll options higher down the road just to be in and trade it? We'll see. Anyway, Meta was a little wishy-washy yesterday. Not a big deal, but, you don't want to see, most of the people like the same thing as Reddit, like here. So same strategy here. If you're long Reddit post earnings, you've had a nice, easy run. Meta, some guys did the same thing. They waited for it to put a pivot in to trade against, especially if you don't trade for a living. So if you're in verse 745, you don't care. Chances are you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're a policeman, you're a school teacher, and you're just trying to be in it as a swing trade because you use Redler All Access or the Alpha Team for extra income, and you don't hyper day trade, or you're using power plays. This is a power play. Or you said, hey, you know what? I'm not giving it to 745. Then you give it to 758. All in all, though, it got above 784. It hit 793. And I would say now, I wouldn't want to see it get too much below this. Okay, let's go like right here. Got below here, I would think that tech is getting a little predatory, a little choppy, and you just have to be a little bit more careful. Yeah, so I would say now, if you want to raise your stop, raise it to 773. That's where I'll do. Like look what happened to Microsoft, which had the best earnings, which acted the best, but a lot was priced in. Microsoft, this isn't a great candle. They sold strength, obviously, after a huge move. Wasn't like this one where it was, not priced for anything. Came in, tried to bounce, got sold, held 517, looked good. Like, look at this candle. This candle looked like it was finally going to get going. It opened up and failed. So if Microsoft were to get below 517, that probably would tell you, hey, tech's in a little bit of trouble here. Meaning not trouble, just it's not the place to be. So anyway, these are just some things I'm telling you to think about. Think. Right now it's up 2. It's fine. All right. Oh, someone won RGTI. So we're going into more of the, whatever, the quantum computing, AI, this, that. Yeah, this is the leader. This is definitely a leadership type name. It tried to get through this yesterday. It looks fine if it continues to trend. I get it. TEM, okay. A lot of people talk to me about TEM. I get it. Huge weekly base. Yeah, it looks like it's in the game to go. You could look at the weekly chart. It looks even better, to be honest. Look at there's a lot of money behind this. It's a newer name. It's loose and wide. I'm not taking it into vacation. Just going to let it go. But it does seem like it's pretty good. It's pretty tight. Yeah, that's something that I think you could focus on for a move. Yeah. Anyway, I've tried that a few times. It's loose and wide. I don't have any kind of commitment to that. I just don't. It's got to have to get above 72-ish to go. BLSH, was that the new issue from yesterday? To be honest, I'm kind of staying away from these things lately. Maybe I'm getting old. I really made a lot of money in Bitcoin and Ethereum in the past 3 months. I'm not moving down the chain to Sol or to all these other altcoin type scenarios. Like, I'm fine with it. I have 40 things. I'm at the highs of my year. I'm not moving into, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid of everything else. Bitcoin was good enough. And right now, let's look at Bitcoin. Tried to get above 123,000 and it couldn't hold it. I'm long some IBIT. We'll see what that leads to. This is this is kind of a nasty reversal candle. Not nasty, but, it would have been nice if it got above 122 and had a really momentum move. It just didn't do it. So this kind of gave you a red dog reversal overnight right here. But again, it's not the end of the world. It did it here and then held the 8-day. Now it did it up here. So it's just, it's just moving along, I guess. How high did it get? 124.5. That's your new all-time high in Bitcoin. I don't know. We'll see. If this is not going to be, if this is going to hold up and be fine, let it hold here and just keep stair-stepping higher. I did get out of my Ethereum yesterday, by the way. Just, Ethereum, this was my money trade down here. It was a power play with 22 to get through the $22 calls and sold it into here. I don't remember exactly where, maybe here, didn't catch it all. Hit 32. I was buying it here and I held it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got out yesterday. 6 days. That's a good hold for a guy like myself. So I'll wait. Dash is changing, Jose. Be careful with Dash. Dash, I'm not sure. Dash has gotten a little wishy-washy. I was very excited about Dash. I feel like I played it really well. Obviously we rode the trend higher. Guys actually even had the chance to sell it the day of the earnings print. I came in to test the 8-day. I bought a little bit here, a little bit there. I sold a bunch. I sold like almost 75% of it, because that's what I do. I sold 75%, and then I was going to see if it was going to start a new sequence, and then that happened. So, it didn't reclaim half of that move right there. So from here to here, and if it stays in here and creates an H cell setup, you're gonna have to give it more time. My target was 275. It went to 278. Who cares about targets? Now it's ID traded. Bottom line is, if it breaks if it breaks the 8-day, which it hasn't broken in so long, look at this trend. Pretty much, it did it here. It was a fake out. That was in May, but it'll hurt. Strong stocks could see the 50-day too, I guess. So see how it handles this 250. I bought a little bit more on the dip, and I'm just going to try and be a little careful. QS, All right, so I have a bunch of guys that do a lot of homework on names, and he loves this. He loves the technology, loves the company, loves the management. I didn't do such a deep dive. All I know is here, when it came out with some really good news, I don't even remember what it was. I was a buyer. I added to it. I sold it into here, and I missed. I missed from like 11 to 15, but it was a great trade. I'm cool with trades like that. Then in here, he's like, Red Dog, it just pulled back to the 50-day. It's looking good. They're going to get a big deal with some OEM. They don't need to raise money. Da, 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 da. So I started buying it. It tried to get above 960, couldn't get above it. There's been no news. I'm trying to this when I go on vacation to wherever it's called, Montauk. I'll buy some options and I'll have my trade team put a stop in. So it looks pretty good. It just hasn't been. They haven't let it go yet. Um, let's see what else. What else? What else? The Qs. We'll see what goes on with the PPI. You have to be careful. The PPI. If it's hot, it might reverse a little bit of what happened with the cooler CPI. If it's cool, you're going to see the rotation trade continue. You'll probably see tech come in, and you'll need to be a little careful. So all in all, hopefully everyone's doing great. The action's been really good. Oh, Baba. So Baba is a good lesson in your tier system. So for me, I've started buying the Baba 122s for this Friday, meaning tomorrow, into this pullback. I was like, I might not have enough time. So when this started to develop, I bought the 122s for next Friday to give myself more time. Closed well, yes. Opened up yesterday. So I sold the 122s for tomorrow, and I kept the 122s for next Friday, and then it pulled back a little bit. So I went out and I bought some 130s for next week, and I'm smaller. Look at this, a lot of shares. I'm smaller, so now I'll be able to buy a dip versus 125. Like let it hang out here, build a level. I don't know exactly if it's going to be tight. I don't know if it's going to be loose and wide, like break into this and fill the gap. But I will buy a little bit versus this, and I will keep the 130s into next week. But again, you're buying in here, you're reducing some, so if it opens lower, it's an opportunity. And as of right now, Baba is it's down $1.90. So it's already actually playing with this gap. So I would think if Baba's going to be any good, I would like it to hold some of it. I really wouldn't want to see it get much below 120. I don't think it gets to 123. If it fills this entire gap, it is what it is. What are you going to do about it? But at least, you took some off short term for later. Galaxy, I'm in a little bit. Some guys really love it. It's choppy as hell in here, but it is holding. I would say you could be long this thing, put versus this, and at some point it's a newer name. If it were to go sideways and get above 31.30, it can continue. And that's that. All in all, though, it's 6:55. It's 25 minutes. Just remember, usually 6:30 club is Monday through Thursday. That's it. No Fridays anyway. I might do one tomorrow anyway before I leave. Maybe late afternoon, like 2 o'clock. Do like a close the week out. Little talk about what I'm going to be thinking about for next week as I'm going to be away, and there'll be no 25-20, no 6:30 club. I won't be on the Alpha team, and I won't be at Redler All Access. My wife's going to have me. Everyone else, you guys know Red Dog for you, for my wife. For my wife. Anyway, and hopefully we'll have some fun. But bottom line is, tomorrow around 2-3 o'clock, I'll do a little bit of a video, and I'll talk about like what I'm going to leave with, a few possible scenarios, and that'll be that. The wicks mean like misdirection, like it just means that, not lack of conviction in a move higher. I don't like a lot of wicks. Anyway, I appreciate you guys, and good luck today. We'll see what happens with the PPI. I'd like to get out of today alive. I have a feeling it's going to be a little wishy-washy. We'll see. I've had a big 8 days of stacking gains back to the highs of my year, so feeling pretty good. So I want to leave on that note. And lastly, a lot of guys made a lot of money with me with MSOS. Look at that. Nice move. After 8 years of crap. Anyway, who knows? Hopefully it continues. I have a lot of money in a private placement that might come out in the next 3 months. And if it does, I'd love that. Take everyone away with me. We'll have a lot of fun. Maybe we'll rent a yacht or something. Later, guys.